Hello, hello. This is James Jones here with our special guest, Tracy Smith, Entrepreneur Girl. And just want to get a quick sound check from you, make sure that you're hearing my voice. So please type in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me. Don't be shy. Go ahead and type in. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and holiday season. I guess we're still kind of in the middle of it right now. As Tracy said, tomorrow is, well, Sunday, I guess, is New Year's. All right, and
tomorrow.
Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, right? Because tomorrow is Saturday. Okay. So let's make sure you see Tracy's screen as well. You should see Amazon FBA seasonal and holiday inventory. Just let me know if you see that. Okay, perfect. All right, we had a little bit of trouble with Tracy's audio earlier, so she's actually on her phone doing this, but she has control of the screen too, so she's just using the audio through the phone. So it might be a little bit low, so you might want to turn up speakers on your end to hear it a little bit better, but we should be good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. This is extremely informal, Tracy, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started here and just let you know a little bit about Tracy. I first heard of Tracy about 2 years ago through her YouTube channel, which is called Entrepreneur Girl. And what Tracy does on there is just phenomenal. She teaches people how to sell products on Amazon using Amazon FBA, sort of like what you've been learning through this class. But Tracy is extremely well-rounded in that environment where she sells all kinds of different stuff. And so because this is the Christmas season, I asked Tracy to come on today to teach you how to sell seasonal and holiday products or items that you can source locally through after Christmas sales. There's lots of after Christmas sales going on, and so you can leverage those to find items that you can get at discounts and then flip them, turn them around, and list them on Amazon. Now, Tracy, how long have you been on Amazon FBA? How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing Amazon FBA for several years. I started with eBay, and I did eBay for a few years before I started Amazon. So I've been in e-commerce for probably about 7 years now.
And I think if I remember correctly, one of the first items you sold was textbooks, wasn't it?
It was. I have 8 children, and I homeschool them, and so that's kind of how I fell into arbitrage and FBA and eBay and all of that. I graduated from the University of Florida in business, and after that I started stock trading. So that's actually what I was doing when I decided to try to sell the homeschooling curriculum that we had accumulated over several years. And I tried it on eBay, and I thought I'd make a couple $100. I made a couple $1,000. So I thought, and I wondered if I could duplicate that. I was able to duplicate that the following summer, and so that's kind of what initiated the whole thing.
Oh, that's awesome, Tracy. And if you did not mishear Tracy, she said she has 8 children, which I don't understand how she has 8 children being 29 years old. It just does not. The math doesn't work out. But we'll just leave it at that.
I don't understand.
Yeah, and no twins or triplets or quadruplets or anything, but.
No, 8 individual kids. But my mom came from 16 children, so I kind of grew up that way. It's an older generation, and that's just how it was. And so I kind of grew up with all of that and duplicated it.
One of the things I really like about you is how you've got your children in the business as well, how they help you with your business. And we'll give you links to your YouTube channel at the end of this webinar, so people can go and see what you do, and how your children are sometimes involved with your sourcing as well. Okay, Tracy, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it over to you then and let you get started with your presentation. And I'll be here monitoring everything in the background. And if anything comes up, I'll let you know, and then we'll have Q&A at the end.
Perfect. Right. Okay, well, thank you. First of all, just want to say thanks. It's really nice to be here with everyone. I really think highly of James, and we've worked together in the past. I respect his knowledge, and I'm just honored to be a part of what we're doing today, which, as he talked about, we are going to be utilizing our seasonal and holiday finds to grow our Amazon business. So I understand that all of you have been dealing with textbooks, which is awesome. I love textbooks. And this will help you decide to incorporate seasonal and holiday finds, which will allow you to grow your business outside of the textbook boundaries if you so desire, and of course create a higher monthly income. So some of the things we're going to be talking about is what kind of items to look for, what to avoid, where to find them, how to analyze the product, ranges of the BSR, the bestseller rank, and how to shop one holiday and promote it for a different holiday. And we're just going to touch upon bundles as well. Okay, so the basics. Retail arbitrage, which probably everybody here knows, is the act of buying a product for a lower price at one location and then reselling it for a higher price on another platform. An example of that would be I would buy a vase on maybe at Walmart or a Lego kit at Walmart, and I would sell it on Amazon for double the profit or a higher amount. FBA, because you're going to hear us talk about that, but you probably already know, is fulfillment by Amazon, and then MF is merchant fulfilled. Everything we talk about today is going to be fulfillment by Amazon because that's what I do, but I did want you to know, if you didn't already, that you could merchant fulfill items. Okay, so our goal today is to learn how to shop huge clearances up to 90% off in retail for seasonal and holiday type items. Hold on to them for just a short duration and then sell on Amazon for full retail value. Okay, so what we're talking about is throughout the year, all year long, there are seasons, right? There's winter, spring, summer, and fall. There's also seasonal activities like camping and snow skiing, and there's also holidays, Christmas, Halloween, Valentine's Day. So if we create a calendar for ourselves with all of these holidays, like these shown on the screen, you can add not only the time periods that these items would sell well, but you would also know when to shop for them and when to send them to the Amazon warehouse. So as you can see here, there's everything listed, but you would want to focus on the bigger ones, like your Valentine's Day, your Christmas, your Halloween. But be mindful of any holiday is a shopping opportunity because people are going online to shop for gifts, for if there's a St. Patrick's Day party that they're having, they will go online to shop for these. So this is an opportunity for you to take advantage. So there's going to be times when you want to buy products, there's going to be times when you want to hold on to products, and then there's going to be times when you want to sell the product. And you can take advantage of these shopping cycles. And I don't think a lot of people realize how important this is, but you can take advantage of these shopping cycles because as people are shopping, you can be selling these products in your store. And stores have only so much square footage, so they want to eliminate items that aren't valuable. They want to replace them with items that are on demand, and they will reduce it until all the items are gone. So, of course, Christmas is a huge holiday. That's what we just experienced. And they stock aisles with Christmas goods. And then right before the Christmas season, they start to reduce the goods because it's going to be after Christmas, and they want to minimize any loss, any leftover product. And so because of this, they start to have clearances, which you can go in and shop for and take advantage of and buy, and then hold on to it, and then go ahead and send it into the Amazon warehouse, say the following September, and get 100% full retail price. Most retailers don't take full advantage of this. The spikes in sales, they don't. And if you can do it just from this webinar, you'll be so much ahead of everybody else, because I don't know if they just don't understand the opportunity there or what, but you can make huge profits by doing this, because you're buying items sometimes at 10%, and then you can sell them for 100% later on. Like a couple days ago, I went to Walmart, and right now it's only 5 days past Christmas, and already the items like tree lights and stocking and wrapping, they're already 50 to 80% off at the Walmart I went to locally, and Valentine's Day items are already on display, which isn't until February. And so for those of us thinking ahead, for those sellers thinking ahead to Valentine's Day, that's what the store wants to capitalize on, because that's where the profit margin is. So they want to quickly eliminate all the Christmas goods, and they want to go ahead and put Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day and all the holidays that are coming, because that's where the profit margin is going to be for them. Okay, so how does it work? Pretty basic. Close to the holidays, the items will be discounted, so the store can minimize the loss. This picture is a picture that I took a couple days ago at the Walmart, and as the time increases past the holiday, the discounts will continue to climb until the merchandise is eliminated or they ship it off. So extra stock that didn't sell before the holiday, once it's discounted, you need to start paying attention to that as a reseller, because it's going to happen, like I said, right before the holiday, but the store is already anticipating their need to minimize the loss on all this leftover product. So I don't buy, normally, I'll talk about this in a minute, but I don't buy until it's about 75% or greater. So I kind of wait for the prices that continue to climb. I pop in right after the holiday in case there's something that's a really good find that I want to snag, even if it's at 50%. But most of the time, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the stores and the discounts that they have, so that I can take advantage of the steep clearances, because that's where your profit margin is going to be. And so I just want to pause real quick, because some points that are really important is that all stores will have different discounts. So like, for example, 2 days ago, I went to Walmart, and they were 50% off. And then I went to the Joann's right across the street, and they were 90% off. So there was, a big discrepancy between the types of sales here locally for me. So it's important to make rounds. Don't just pop in one store and think, oh, well, they're only 50% off, so everybody's 50% off, because every store is going to be different. And you want to keep an eye on what's happening in all your local stores. Another point is every year, the same store will produce different results. Example, last year, I went to Joann's and Michael's, which I'm going to show you a clip of here in a minute, and they were gold mines for me. But this year, when I went there, I didn't find really anything. So I was kind of surprised by that, but not really, because that's why I'm telling you, every store will produce different results year after year. Which brings me to the third point, is because every year has different merchandise, right? They're selling different merchandise. And even the same store will carry items based on its area demographics. For example, I live in Florida, so we have a lot of Spanish population, and so a lot of the items, a lot of the food will have a lot of that influence in it. When I went to Texas to visit my friend, a lot of their stores dealt with organics and natural and healthy things. So a Walmart here in Florida might be different from a Walmart where you're located, or a Walmart in Texas, if that makes sense. So not all Walmarts are created equal, and you just want to keep that in mind. Okay, so once the discounts get to greater than 75%, I start to really scan everything. And why do I do that? Is because the return on investment, the ROI, is better, is more, fits into the Amazon business model after the 75% level. So how do I determine the return on investment? You're probably familiar with the rule of thirds, which is just a guideline. It's not all-encompassing, but we can calculate if a product meets the minimum requirement by this rule of thirds. And what it is if you consider the price of fees and shipping for Amazon over the course of many products, it's about 33%. And so when I purchase a product, I want to be able to sell that product on Amazon. When I scan it, I want the selling price to be 3 times what the buying price is, because a third of it's going to be to buy the item at the store, a third of it's going to be absorbed in fees and shipping, and then a third of it is going to go into my pocket, into my bank for profit. And once the discounts get to 75%, I start to think the shelves, at 90%, because my return on investment, the money that I'm going to be able to make, is a lot better. So the business model is great because I can hold on to it for a very little while and then turn around and resell it. So think like a stocking for $2 that I might buy, and I can turn around and sell it the next season for full price at, say, $20 or something similar to that. So what I wanted to show you right now is actually 2 2-minute clips of Christmas season that I did, kind of what we're talking about, because before we continue, I want to show you what it is like in action. I want you to be able to see this.
So I'm at the grocery store in Indiana and just shopping for groceries, but I come across this. And as we know, we're always on, and I'm going to scan these items because some of them are toys that could probably sell year-round for $4.49 for a backpack. There's pajama sets. Oh, here it is. There's pajama sets for $2.99. Look at this. This is so cute. I love this cookie jar. I'm going to buy one for my mom, but hold on. It's $4.19. And look, there's cute snowmen and all kinds of really nice Santa dishes. So I'm going to scan this whole section because they already have Valentine's things out, so they want to get rid of this. So 90% off? Oh yeah. Okay, so there's my cart filled with Christmas Amazon FBA items. Okay, so these command clips, I'm going to show you a picture of them on Amazon FBA, but the net profit is $28. And as you can see, it's $1.79 to buy these. And look how many! And because these are outdoor hanging clips, I'm sure they're used for more than just Christmas time. So this is something I can actually put in an Amazon box right now. So all of those are going to be going into my cart. And speaking of which, these window cleans, about $17 net profit, and they are going for 69 cents today. So I'm also going to take all of those. And then these little backpacks.
Okay, so as you can see with that, I was at a grocery store. I was actually grocery shopping when I came across that opportunity to source after Christmas sales. And I was even out of state when that happened. I was in Indiana when I lived in Florida. So that was just a 2-minute clip to show it to you in action, that you can just happen on to these things. If you're in the right mindset and you're thinking about the opportunity, you will see them everywhere you go. And then here is, I'm going to do another 2-minute clip of kind of the returns that I hit with those items that you saw me store.
So I go into my Amazon Seller Central, I go under my inventory, add a product, and this screen comes up, and I go ahead and enter either the UPC code on the back. It was covered up with a sticker that was difficult to get off, so I went ahead and just entered in the product name. And this is the gel clean for the Santa that I showed you just a moment ago. So you go over here, you click on the yellow button. Whoops, sorry, I'm going to move me so you can see the yellow button. and you go ahead and click on Sell Yours, and this page comes up. So here I am, and I'm looking for items that have free shipping. There's only one of these window cleans, so it doesn't make a difference. But you can see for the price that it was $14.99 plus $4.61 shipping. If you look at my clean, you can see that I paid 69 cents for it. For fees, that is going to be a really good price point for me. For product, we have the Rudolph car costume that I just showed you. It's right here. So I'm going to click on Sell Yours, and this is going to come up. And I clicked free shipping here. You can see that there's free shipping, and you can see that there's Prime. And I want to look at the Prime ones because I'm Prime, and that's what I'm going to be competing with. So the lowest price for this one, for Prime, is $24. And if you look at mine, you can see that I paid $2.69. So again, that's going to be a really good profit margin. All right, another product. Here we have the Let It Snow Clean that I have. And if I click on Sell Yours, this page, I'm going to click up here to the new ones because that's what I have are the new ones. And then you can see all the different listings. There's only 3. If I look at the free shipping, there's $15.90. But it goes all the way up to $17 with another almost $5 of shipping. So anywhere from $16 to, $20-something for this Let It Snow Clean, and I paid, again, 69 cents. So the profit margin can be huge when dealing with seasonal and holiday items.
Okay, so that is, the reason I wanted to show you that was because it was actually the process of me finding the goods, and then I went back and showed, and I was listing it, the profit margins to give you examples. And I know some of the profit margins have been huge, but when you clear out shelves, you're talking about a quantity of sometimes 20 or 30 finds. And the command clips that I found that year, I was able to sell because they were non-holiday items, even though they were discounted in the holiday section. Would sell those year-round, and I took every single one that they had on the shelf and just sold them. I sold 100% of the command clips, just for an example, and I sold them for a very, good as far as a profit margin on my initial investment. So that is kind of the gist of how it happened, and I wanted to show you that. And you see me talk about 75%. And that's because that seems to be the magic mark where I can really see a lot of items that will get me the return on investment that I want. If it's 50%, I find a few items. 75% is when I really start to get serious with scanning. And then, like I said, 90%, I'm starting to clear off the shelf. And with the items that you sell, of course, all of the things that we talked about today are just kind of general guidelines, because the fees for higher priced items will be a less of a percentage than for lower priced items, because many of the fees are the same, regardless of the price point of the object that you're selling. So you want to be mindful of the price point. If I have an item that's over $10, which I always try to do, closer to $20, if I can, it would be even better. Because that 33% average will slide up or down depending on the price point of the item that I'm holding in my hand. But for the most part, this is what, sorry, let me go to full screen. This is what we're looking at for the breakdown, the 33% cost to buy, 33% fees and shipping, and the 33% profit. And this is kind of my initial screen test for an item, because if, yes, I'm scanning an item and it says it's $5, and I look on my app, my scanning app, like Inventory Lab or Scan Power or Profit Bandit, whatever you're using, the free Amazon app, and if I look on there and it says $15, then I know that I will, yes, consider this and look at the other parameters. If it's no, then for me anyway, I just put it back on the shelf and walk on. So step one for all of this craziness is to make a list of the retail stores in your area. And this also will work for thrift stores, online arbitrage, which is just the same thing as retail arbitrage, is just online. Garage sales, anything where you can find new in the box. This is with new items. And my favorite places, I like Walmart, I like craft stores, I like Kohl's. You saw the videos at a grocery store, but they're all so different. And my area will be different than your area. So it's more important that you don't overlook places. Rather, just make a list, make rounds of all the places in your area. Okay, then step two is to find the clearance item. We talked about the percentages. I would also like to talk about different stores have a clearance. Most every store has a clearance section, but the store and this would be Walmart will have a whole aisle, and it'll have yellow signs, right? They're big yellow things, and but whereas Target will have just the end cap, and normally it's the end cap, not by the popular main aisle. So you have to kind of search for the ones at Target. So you'll get the gist of it as you start to. You'll see, you'll know where to find the clearance items. So that's step number two, is to find it, find where it's located, and then to, really I pay attention. If it's under 50%, a lot of times you'll see 20% off. That's what those really. And once you find it, you want to think. Now these are pictures of what I found just 2 days ago. I was at the local Walmart, and I was looking at the clearance section, which was anywhere from 50 to 80% off different goods. Walmart ornaments. I have a which we'll talk about in a minute. But here is the Hallmark box. And it was 75% off. So it was pretty low. See here, this is the ranking right there. And that ranking here as well. And this is, if it was new, the price that I could expect to list to that, which is great. That definitely meets our 3 times rule that we discussed. And I really like this part too. There were no current FBA offers. So if I were to put it up right now, I don't know what it would be next holiday season, but I like when it's none of this. So this is a screenshot of the Amazon app, because I know everybody could use that if they needed to. And you probably had practice with this type of thing, but it has the name of the product, and then it has the ranking of the product, which will pay very close attention to a picture and the price minus the fee. And most apps won't count shipping from your, your house to the Amazon post. If it's a small item like these are, items that seems to kind of average out and work. No, I'm not great. And my FBA offers, of course, are none. This is a screenshot. Start scanning with your scanning. So things I would look for with this, once I find it, is does it follow the 3 times rule? If it does, we'll pay attention to these other details that I just showed you. Rank, at least for me, most important is an indication of how fast an item is going to sell on Amazon. under 100,000 and rank across all categories, it is a fast seller. If you get under 50,000, it's like a sure bet. It's my experience. Okay, so as we were talking about ranking, I'm gonna show you details on different ranks later. But ranking is very important because it does indicate how fast an item is selling. And closer to 0 is better. I kind of think of it as the #1 spot is the #1 product. It makes it easier to remember. And then from there, if the ranking is good, I'll go through each element. You know, other considerations, of course, how much competition do you have out there? Are 50 people selling it or only one other person? FBA, are you the only FBA offer? And that means you're going to be the one situated to attract all those prime members from Amazon. Are you competing with Amazon? Because sometimes that, you know, could be difficult because they're able to go at a lower price. All of these things that I'm sure you're learning with James come into play here, but we're just going to kind of, you'll hear me talk about each one of them. So that way you can understand and learn with us what a good item is versus what a bad item is. Okay, so here's some examples of what I found 2 days ago at the Walmart. In addition to the Hallmark ornaments, which I love, those are my favorite signs, the gel cleans sold really well for me the last 2 years. They were really popular and they sold out of all of them. So when I was at Walmart the other day, I bought up the gel cleans. Obviously, the gross proceeds aren't a lot, but when I have, they're very light, they're very small, I can fit a lot in a box, and if I have a box of other items going to the Amazon warehouse, I will just shove these in with it, and I'm spending cents on a dollar. So it just adds to it, and as it's closer to holiday right now, this screenshot is an indication, you know, it's a snapshot of the exact day that you purchase it was after Christmas. The gel cleans that I bought before Christmas the last 2 years were selling at almost $20. So I did want to point that out, that of course it's different when people are buying it before season versus the live screenshot that I'm showing you now, which is just a screenshot for that period of time. Because any time you look at an app, it's going to be just a snapshot of that moment. So if there are a lot of sales right before you looked it up, the money, the demand, everything is going to be a little bit different, as you know, is everything else. So this is an example of what I found. And now we're going to talk about the best seller rank. So after you find the items, and we talked about the best seller rank, I told you that 100,000 on most categories is where I like to stay because I know it's a really fast sell for me. Under 50,000 is great. During fourth quarter, though, with Christmas, these are very relaxed because everything is selling and everything just kind of goes out the window with that. Now here on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the top 20% of the more popular categories. And this is my VSR guidelines. I don't know what you've been learning or what you might use. We're all a little different, but I just wanted to share with you what I do, and you can you know, take it and utilize it or not. But this was just an indication of kind of what I loosely follow. I'm just going to leave that up there for a second in case anybody needs it. So what you're going to do then after you go through each of these elements is determine whether you want to purchase it or not and purchase the items. Now what I do once I purchase them is I put them into a plastic container because you want the items to be safe from bugs or musty smells, or you want to store them in a place that's not high temperature. And I just label on the outside with the date and what's inside. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch here because that's what we're talking about, purchasing the items. And I made a little note here to be mindful of the time it takes to list, ship, and get the items checked in by Amazon before your listings are actually live. So as we're creating our calendars for our holiday and seasonal finds, we want to be mindful that, you know, this is a process and it takes time. You'll get a feel for it, but like Christmas, because people are shopping, they start in September, and October gets a little busier, then November gets a little busier than that, and then December is crazy. So I try to be poised and positioned so that I can send in boxes for the whole month of September. I'm just sending them in as fast as I can so that I am ready for fourth quarter, and I'm taking full advantage of it. I don't want to not have any products in the warehouse and not make any money, because that defeats what we're doing. So if I have these items purchased in January, like we're right now, the next 2 weeks are perfect to be buying this, and then I can store it for a few months, and then I can send it in the beginning of September, and I'm really positioned and situated for all the sales. Okay, so I told you we would talk about what kind of items to avoid. When you're scanning items, when you find these great clearances, they match your 3 times rule, they match the ranking that you want, and you kind of evaluating the products. Certain things you still want to stay away from. And a lot of these I kind of learned by doing, so I just want to spare you, going through it yourself. But food, most people know you have to be approved to sell in that grocery category. You have to be ungated. Also, expiration dates. Amazon is very strict and have policies regarding expiration dates. You can't send in anything that's going to be expiring soon, or of course is already expired. Type, like melting. I came across a lot of, I am ungated in grocery, I came across a lot of great chocolate items, but I live in Florida. And so there's no way that I could guarantee that it wouldn't even melt before I got home, much less trying to send them into a warehouse and having sent to the end user. So the type of item is pretty important. Also, name brands. I love name brands because you get the more dollar for a name brand, but they can be restricted. And that's this picture I have here. I was scanning Christmas lights at Walmart a couple days ago, and it shows you, the apps are great because they show you kind of what's a no-no now. It will show you name brands being restricted. It might show you a slow-moving item, trying to discourage you from sending that item into the warehouse. You know, they have a lot of them. It's not selling very fast, and so it will kind of show these warnings to you when you utilize the apps. So you want to be mindful of that. Glass. It took me a while to get that through my head, but glass, I really don't mess with that unless it's a profit margin I just can't ignore, and it's a higher priced item. Because the shipping is so difficult with that, you literally have to be careful of the wrapping and the breakage. Therefore, you would be out the money of the item, but then you would have to reimburse, whoever purchased it. Electronics or anything with a lot of moving parts, you get a lot of returns. Large or delicate items, an example of this would be wrapping paper. You could incur extra storage fees because of the length of certain large objects, but they might get bent or damaged, and therefore that leads to returns. Also, toys. Toys are great. I love toys. I sell them all year round. But in the fourth quarter, you have to get approval to sell toys, and a lot of people miss that. Okay, so what kind of items do I like? Well, I already said I like any name brands. That's not restricted. Sports things go really well. People are into sports. They're loyal to their teams. Pets. I'm surprised that so many people, of course, buy Christmas gifts for their pets or Christmas stockings for their pets. Stocking stuffers. I went to Craigslist. I found a bunch of Matchbox cars new in the package, and I sold them all year, and they just flew out of my inventory come fourth quarter because people look for small things to place in stockings. So as you're shopping these clearance aisles, you know, be mindful of stocking stuffers because people buy little things to do that with. Generic things that everybody uses, but they're not loyal to a certain brand, like bags or tags or ribbons or boxes, anything like that that people use year after year after year. You know, they're buying Christmas stockings that never gets old. It's not a trend. You know, people are always buying Christmas stockings. So I like to buy those. Command clips I showed you in the video, I found more command clips this year too. And so I think that's great because they're not holiday. People buy those all the time, and I pretty much sell out of them anytime that I find them. So be on the lookout for those. Non-holiday items that are being discounted. This picture here is what I found in the same aisle with all the Christmas stuff. There was a cuddle buddy bear for children, and then there was a wine bottle opener. Now the bear ended up having a restriction. It had been recalled, so do not run out and look for that. I just use the picture as an example of you always find non-Christmas items in with the Christmas items, like the command clips, like the wine opener. I found a lot of things, cooking utensils, everything, and those are great because you don't have to hold on to them. They can start making you money right away, you know, just by putting a little thought into the sales with that. Okay, so some tips for doing this. Cross-promotion is, I mean, the definition, or at least my definition of it would be I can purchase a product and I can use it for something else. I can market it in a different way that I might be able to sell it year-round. And an example would be religious crosses. You see them at Easter time, and you can purchase them and sell them, but market them as like a baptismal gift or for a communion. You can use them for different things, or just as a Christian gift that people give year-round. So you don't have to hold it for a whole year until the next Easter, you know, or 8 months or 9 months before you send it in. You can go ahead and capitalize on it right away just by putting a little thought into your purchases. Same can be used for many holidays. See that picture up there in the top right? That's a picture that was in my house. But it's a great example of this because it has the pumpkins and the crow. That would be Halloween. But it's very fall festive, and it has a snowman. So it's for Christmas. You'll find items like that when you start scanning, that you'll see that you can use them for many different holidays, and you can market them for many different holidays, not just one. Also, colors, like Christmas red, could be used for Valentine's Day if you just market it a little different. I would find after Valentine's Day, I shopped at a local Goodwill. I found a lot of new in the package items that were red. And then I was able to try to sell that not only for Valentine's Day, but before Valentine's Day was Christmas. And I could sell the red as Christmas wrapping and bag filler and different things like that. So colors can be, you know, very used across the board. Valentine's Day is red, St. Patrick's is green, and then you have Christmas colors. And then, of course, there's bundles, which is the bottom picture there. These are all items that were 75% off, and I just kind of put them together to show you an example of like a cooking bundle. Now, Amazon has policies related to the bundle. That was kind of out of the scope of what we're talking about today. I'm just going to ask about them. But this is the website, Amazon.com. They have a great help site, and you can just look through all the policies pertaining to bundles. But bundles is a great way to also sell and market and have a higher profit margin on what you're listing because it has multiple goods. Another tip would be if you're having items that you're having trouble selling, you can bundle them together and then, you know, advertise them as a teacher gift or a cooking gift or something along those lines and be able to sell it more quickly. Other tips is to save money for times like when you're going to be buying. There's nothing worse than having prime time like right now when you could be shopping for inventory and you haven't saved any money to purchase. Also, I know a lot of people listening to this are beginners, and it's so hard to part with your hard-earned money, and I get that. But just kind of try to keep in your head that every $20 that you spend on inventory will hopefully be returned to you as $20. And that kind of helps take the plunge. Also, pop in after holidays to stores right after the holidays. So the day after Christmas, I was out there at my stores just because I wanted to be the one to snag any super great finds. Then after that, I just kind of pop in periodically because they're all different and they discount different. And, you know, one store might race to 90% off, but another store, it might take weeks before they're at the 90% off. With the 90% off, once I see them, I pretty much scan everything and look for anything I can capitalize on. The next thing is use for personal use too. It's funny because I use those white Christmas lights all year round, and I get mad at myself because I'm like, oh, I just sold 30 of them, and I need one, and I don't have any. So to remind yourself to maximize these seasonal goods, not only for Christmas, but for summer. Like I live in Florida, so it's summer year-round here. I needed patio furniture, the cushions that go in your backyard patio set. And when I was in Indiana and it was almost fall, they were selling off all of their summer stuff, over 80% off. And I was purchasing all of that because it's always summer somewhere. It's definitely summer year-round here in Florida. We need furniture stuff, here, but other places in the world. So if it's winter where you're at, you can still sell summer goods. So I'd like to capitalize on, of course, not just Christmas and Valentine's Day, but also winter. Like your coats are sold in winter at stores. And so when it becomes summer, they're selling off all those coats because they're having swimsuits. And then after summer, they're selling their swimsuits, and you can capitalize on that. Same with pool toys or barbecue kits where you can, purchase them now, and then right before summer the next year, you can be listing those items because people are buying them up because it's getting ready to go into summer, and that's the type of thing that they're looking for. You can ship to the warehouse from anywhere. I travel a lot, and so I have a little backpack that has a small printer. It's a travel printer, and some basic supplies like my packing tape and scissors and all of that. And that backpack goes with me whenever I travel, and I've sent boxes from everywhere because I get boxes for free at stores, and I can pack and ship while I'm traveling. And so I just wanted to point that out as kind of a fun tip. Research tools that I use is Camel. That's free, and it just kind of gives me a bigger picture of the item that I'm looking at. It shows how the selling history, how well it has sold, in the last 6 months, not just right now. And Keepa.com is also a tool I use. Okay, so now it's just after Christmas, so that's kind of what we've talked about a lot. But I don't want you to think it's just Christmas because it could be anything that has a season. That's what you're capitalizing on. So if it's not soccer season and they're starting to sell out their soccer equipment, their soccer balls, their, all of that coaching equipment, you can be buying that up and selling it either to other places like Florida, that it's soccer all the time, or you can save it for next soccer season and capitalize on it. But now is the prime time to do it for Christmas because we're after the Christmas holiday. And so this is a great time for you because the next 2 weeks you can actually be putting this into practice. So who is it for? Of course, it's for us resellers, and it's holiday and seasonal inventory is what we're doing. And when we do it is every main holiday, seasonal activities, and seasons. So I literally have a calendar where I write out, I put all the holidays on it, I put all the seasonal activities that I can think of on it. I put, every, when the summer sales are going to be ending, back to school sales, like back to school supplies, when those will be ending is when the kids go back to school. And then I will go to the retail stores and I will buy all the after-school supplies for 90% off. And then I do sell them year-round. And I also really capitalize on it back-to-school sales the following year. And why do we do this? It's because we want to grow our business and add to our monthly profits. And this is a relatively easy way to do that because it's so steeply discounted. And the discounts are best at the retail stores because you're going in, it's a little harder online, but you're going into the stores and they just want to clear the space. Because like I said the other day, I was in there and they already had Valentine's Day out right beside the Christmas stuff. And they just want it to go so they can make more sales, attract more people for the next holiday or the next season. And how do we do that? Is by knowing the guidelines that we talked about, scanning and researching your goods, buying them, and then sending them to the warehouse. So I really like this method. I use it year-round, and the little dips that it creates, the spikes in sales that it creates, averages out to be pretty significant. And so I think it would be a great way for anyone listening to, and kind of a fun way, because it's all sales. Everyone knows that these stores, they have big Labor Day sales. They have, just big sales all the time, and resellers can really capitalize on those. So that is pretty much the presentation. Now we can talk about anything you want, and just thanks for having me here.
Tracy, thank you very much for coming on. All right, so let's open it up to Q&A. I've got a few little things here as well that I'd like to share before we go into Q&A. First off, just kind of piggybacking on what Tracy said, let me give you some of the stores that I've had really good luck at, not just after Christmas, but all year round. There are certain discount stores that I really like for finding products to sell on Amazon through FBA. Number one is Tuesday Morning. Tracy, do you have Tuesday Morning where you're located?
I do not, but I've heard about it. I've had quite a few people talk about that, so I feel like I'm missing out. I need to go visit one.
I used to have, or we used to have, a Tuesday Morning within walking distance of my house. And I was there literally every other day looking for stuff to sell on Amazon. And they just closed it because they're redoing the shopping center, and they closed that one down. But I've got a couple more that are fairly close, and I still go into them. You can find just some phenomenal deals there. Ross, Nordstrom's Rack. Have you ever heard of Nordstrom's Rack?
I have. I just thought of one. Probably my most favorite is Trader Joe's. Have you been to Trader Joe's?
Yes. Yes.
I love that one. I can't believe I forgot to mention it.
And while you're mentioning that, Trader Joe's is a grocery store.
Yes.
But here's the thing. That's on my list as well. Not Trader Joe's, but grocery stores in general. Right now is a good time to go to grocery stores, especially the bigger ones, and look for discounted merchandise, because some of the chain grocery stores, especially the larger ones, will buy stuff like toys for the Christmas season that they don't sell any other time of the year. They just stock them for the Christmas season, and then they're trying to discount them and get rid of them. So go to the grocery stores and see what you can find.
Yeah, that video clip I showed you was from Kroger's, which we don't have in Florida, but we have in Indiana. And you saw the little bear backpacks, and so it's exactly what you're saying. And so I bought everything that they had there in the middle of the grocery store. It's just you don't even think it would be there, but it is.
Yeah, I've heard especially Kroger's, which we don't have Kroger's in Charlotte either, but I've heard a lot of people say that Kroger's are really good places to go. So if you've got a Kroger's in your area, go hit those. Hit them tomorrow. A few other ones I've got jotted down. Let's say Nordstrom's Rack, Marshall's, TJ Maxx, And then a few other like random things. Barnes and Noble. I find really good stuff, mostly books, but I found some really good books in Barnes and Noble that I can buy multiple copies of and sell on Amazon. The Hallmark store. Find things in there sometimes. And here's a little tip for you. If you go to a store, whatever it is, Tuesday morning, and you're scanning stuff, and you're starting to find stuff. You're finding more than just one item. You're kind of scanning. You're kind of hitting some things. Then start digging deeper into that store. Start scanning everything, because generally, when I find one good deal or two good deals, it just leads to more and more and more in that same store. And then, kind of on the other side of the coin, when you find something at, say, one of those like Tuesday morning Kroger's, wherever, say you find something that's good, that's a good deal, then go to all of the other locations in your area. So Tuesday morning, I'll give you a great example. This was last year, actually, Christmas. They had these wine glasses that were called self-aerating wine glasses. I really have no idea. I know what aerating means, but I'm not sure how they actually work. But anyway, they were retailing on Amazon for $34 and up, and I was buying them Tuesday mornings for $9.99. I bought all they had at my local one, and then I went to all the other Tuesday mornings and bought all they had. I ended up with 40 or 50 boxes of those aerating wine glasses, and those things sold for a couple of months after Christmas. And the lowest, I think the lowest I sold them for was like $29.99. So I was making really good money on those things. So when you find something, start looking around for that same item other places. Another good one, I don't know if I mentioned this one, there's two of these in Charlotte now. They just opened this past year, 5 Under. Do you have any 5 Unders in your area, Tracy?
No, but I've been to them. They have those in Kokomo, Indiana as well, where I frequent a lot because I have family there. And they have them there.
I love 5 Under. Found lots of good stuff there.
And another place that I don't think I would find items, but sometimes I do, is like a Menards or a Home Depot or a Lowe's, like a home improvement.
What was the first one you said?
Found
What was the first?
Menards.
Can you spell that?
It's Menards. And it's similar to a Home Depot or a Lowe's.
I've never heard of that. We don't have those around here.
Oh, so they have them in Indiana, and the prices seem to be better. But I have found tools, and what they do is they discontinue the old models, and because a new model might be coming in, and you can purchase them and make, for a steep discount, and then sell them for a good profit, especially with tools because they're so pricey. So your per item profit margin is fairly high. And I've gone, to everyone in like a 60-mile radius trying to accumulate more to list. So that's also a place I didn't mention too.
And someone just corrected me in chat, and I'm sorry, I said 5 Under. It's 5 Below, not 5 Under.
Yeah.
5 Below.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
They have a lot of cute stuff.
So thank you, who corrected me. Dayandan, thank you. And Dayandan, I just answered an email question from you just a few minutes ago as well. And that question that you asked, I'm going to bring that up in the next class because it was a really good question. Okay. So what questions do you have for Tracy while we have her here with us? I have a question regarding MCAT set. Lola, I'm not sure. You said you sent me a question about MCAT, and if you sent it in through the form that I have for questions, I didn't receive it. If you emailed it to me, then I may have missed it because, as I have mentioned before, I don't check my emails every day. So how did you send it to me, Lola? And I'm going to put, because I caught all the questions up earlier today, and unless you asked that question after, say, noon, then it was answered. But I'm looking right now. Gail wants to know, do you save the Christmas stuff until next year to resell? Tracy?
I do. What I typically do is I will purchase now in January. Later in the month, you get the bigger discounts. And so a lot of times I'm purchasing the bulk of it, maybe the middle of January. And then I store them in plastic bins, and I just kind of label it. And I normally send it in at the very beginning of September for Christmas. Unless it's one of those cross-promotional items, you know, where I could try to sell it for Valentine's Day because it's red or it's a bear, or, you know, you just have to be creative with the thought process. And how can I bundle this? How can I market it to fit different holidays or different seasons?
Okay, and just, let's see, let me look at a question from Patty here. Okay, Patty says, when you are the only FBA seller, since you pretty much have the buy box, do you do some pay-per-click in order to sell your items?
I normally don't mess with pay-per-click unless I need.
Patty said PPC. I can't think of any other acronym for PPC, so I guess it's pay-per-click that she's referring to.
Yeah, that would be my guess too. Pay-per-click, I do a lot of private label, so I would utilize pay-per-click when I'm trying to sell an object that I'm trying to get a lot of reviews on, or to push an item that might be slow-moving to kind of spur it. If you're the only FBA seller, that's kind of a great position to be in, because if someone from Prime, like I was for Christmas time, I wanted my gifts, I wanted that free 2-day shipping. So I would sort by Prime. I would only buy Prime because I was in a hurry. It was Christmas. You know, that's how Prime members shop. They want that speed. They want the free 2-day shipping. It's for convenience, right? So when you're the only seller, you can actually put your price listing much higher than merchant fulfilled, which I don't know if James has covered that yet, but you don't have to be at the same price point. An example of that would be if the same exact item was selling for $20 merchant fulfilled plus $5 shipping, that would mean as Amazon with free shipping, FBA, you could list automatically for $25, but you could go even higher than that. You might list for $30 or, you know, $33 because you're the only Prime member, and people will pay for that convenience. And I know it doesn't seem like they will, but they do.
Thank you for covering that, Stacy, because I'm sorry, Tracy, because I have been trying to get that point across for the last 2 months now. And some people just they don't get it. They just think, wow, I wouldn't do that. I would never pay more, you know, just because it says, you know, FBA. But my sister, she will pay whatever it takes to use her Prime membership because she has the Prime membership. She pays $99 a year for it, whatever she pays for it, and by golly, she's going to use it, even if it means paying more. There's a lot of people like that, and people just trust Amazon too. And what you have to realize is most people don't realize they're buying stuff from third-party people. You know, they just see Amazon.
Exactly.
And everything comes from Amazon, and as long as it's listed as shipped by Amazon, that's all they care.
Right, and that's probably 90% of the people I met. You know, they ask me what I do, and I tell them, and they're like, wait, because they don't realize that it's not from Amazon. But it's not only people that want to, you know, pay for their Amazon Prime membership, which, of course, I do too, but we are in an instant gratification society, and people want it fast, and people shop that way. You know, they're not shopping for their birthday gifts months in advance. You know, they're like, oh, no, I need to order that. their birthday's Thursday. And so they pop on Amazon, they find it, and they have it shipped. Or also people that don't want to spend a day looking in the stores for a particular item, they can go online and search for that exact thing in like 10 minutes. And they're willing to pay more for that convenience. It's all about convenience. And people would do that, not to mention like groceries, because I'm into groceries. And there are people that are in remote locations that can't get groceries any other way. And so there's a whole list of considerations that most of us don't have, and we just think it's nuts that someone would pay for convenience because we're thrifty and we would not do that. You know, we're trying to save money, not, you know, be flamboyant with it. But a lot of people are, and you can capitalize on that.
My cousin is in college, and he will pay more for something to buy it off Amazon just so it gets delivered up to his dorm so he doesn't have to go to the store and then tote boxes up the steps to his dorm. I never would have thought of that.
It's a perfect mail way to shop.
It makes perfect sense that people would do that, but I never would have thought of it. All right.
I get that.
Yeah, me too. Still looking through questions here. I know there's at least one more. Wayne wants to know how. I'm sorry. Let me get this real quick. How can you give someone you know or a special customer a discount on your listed items for them only to purchase? You know, if the item is something, it's like a private label product, that's your own product, you can give them a coupon code. You can set that up, but I don't think you can set up a coupon code for a third-party item, which is what we're talking about here. So I'm not sure. Tracy, do you know any way that you could do that?
Well, I would normally utilize the coupon codes too, like you're saying. I know you can discount your item. That's actually a selling trick, you know, because if people see it discounted, they're more apt to buy it. But I don't know how you would. I don't know how you would divide it for just one person.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't either.
Specifically, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it's easy to do if it's your own product. You know, you're selling it as a private label product. But other than that, I don't know. All right. So, what other questions you have? Please chime in now. Can you sell used appliances on Amazon? Do you know, Tracy?
You can sell appliances. It's a category, but I don't have any experience with appliances.
I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can. I've sold some pasta machines, pasta devices on Amazon, and those are appliances, but they have to be new. I don't think you can sell used appliances, but you know, here's what you do though. Just go to Amazon and, you know, go to the inventory and pretend like you're listing one, and then Amazon will tell you if you're allowed to list it or not.
And your scanning app, if you want to even just do it from your phone, you can go through your scanning app, and if you don't have a barcode to scan, you can just type in the product name, and it will tell you if you're restricted. Just keep in mind shipping for those items because most of them are heavy, and when you get into heavy or big, you incur, you know, a lot of the shipping or the storage will be more, you know, based on the size dimensions.
Where do you get your shipping boxes?
I never pay for shipping boxes or bubble wrap or anything. So I tell everybody, don't spend money on that. You can go really to any place. I live on an island, and there's a CVS here, and I went and met the manager and just was honest with her. I told her what I was doing, and she's been very helpful. We made arrangements where they get their truck on Tuesdays, and if I go Tuesday afternoon, she will give me anything that I want. But they will break them down on Wednesday. So as long as I show up on Tuesday, like all the wine, you know, is shipped with a lot of box filler, and then the boxes are really heavy duty. But really anywhere, grocery stores. I've gone to Kohl's where I was shopping, and they were empty in boxes, and I just asked, can I have these boxes? And most people are very glad to recycle. I don't know if you're opposed to it, but another thing is by dumpsters, when they do break down the boxes, a lot of times they will stack them in big stacks, or they will tie them and place them by the dumpsters. And so a quick drive-by will, you can just grab them and put them in your car, or even recycle day in your neighborhood. Amazon boxes, this is crazy because I can just drive through my neighborhood on recycle day, and they have the recycle bin, and then they have this pile of Amazon boxes just, stacked up beside it, and I just stop and load up with the Amazon boxes.
So wait a minute. So what you're doing is dumpster diving, isn't it?
I do have a dumpster diving video, but I'm not very good at it.
I've seen it. I've seen your dumpster diving video. It's hilarious.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No.
But just anywhere. Don't pay for boxes or filler, because every store gets their products, gets their inventory through boxes. And a lot of that is just waste. So you can really, help recycle, and they're generous with it because they don't care. They're not going to do anything with it anyway.
I use garbage bags. I get a lot of garbage bags from for filler, like from the grocery store. And if you go to the grocery store, just ask them. They'll give you all the garbage bags you need, the plastic ones, and I use that to just put in to fill up. Like I'm sending a box of books in, I'll put that in the nooks and crannies to keep the box from books from shifting around. One thing though, don't ever use packing peanuts. Amazon they hate packing peanuts, and they'll get onto you if you use those. So don't ever use those. And honestly, with books, people really with used books, people make it out to be a lot more than it needs to be. Just take the books, list them, put them in the box, seal the box, put the label on them, and ship them. You don't have to.
The only time I bag a book is if it's like a really high price item or a vintage one. Then I'll use a poly bag. But yeah, books, I just slap the sticker on it if it's not something special.
Yeah. It shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes to pack your box up. Don't try to arrange the books with Tetris-like precision or anything.
Books are my favorite because they don't break, they're easy to acquire, they're inexpensive to acquire.
Me too. Used books is the best, and the price, used book prices will hold their price as well.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
All right, so here's another good question. We got this asked from a couple of people. What scanner are you using?
I have a ScanFob. I think it's a ScanFob 2006.
ScanFob?
Scanner.
Okay, let me
yes,
put this
SCANFOB.
And where does that come from?
Here, I can actually, because you're still seeing my screen, right?
Yeah.
Let me, just pop it up here real quick. Right here, this is the company I purchased it from. That's what I'm using. There's probably better ones now because I first did it a couple of years ago. But
what
I use.
But which software does this use to look the items up?
The what, I'm sorry?
What kind of software does this use to look the items up on Amazon? Or are we talking about?
Well, you can use it with a lot of the scanning apps, like ScanPower, A-Seller. I'm not sure what some of your audience is using. What you want to do.
Bandit, Profit Bandit is the one that I use. That's the one I've recommended.
Okay.
So, have you used Profit Bandit?
Yeah, I love Profit Bandit. Okay. I've always used Profit Bandit. I just switched to Inventory Lab because it does different things. Because I'm getting more into private label. So, it's just changing my business model a little bit. But Profit Bandit's what I've always used. So I do like Profit Bandit, but
I'm sorry, what does a scan
Scan
fob have?
fob,
What scan fob have that Profit Bandit doesn't though? Because if Profit Bandit, it's on my phone and it just uses the camera or whatever to scan. So for
right.
$279, what does this do that would be helpful?
Okay, so this is different from a scanning app. Use them together. And how the scan fob helps is, especially like on book sales, everybody here is probably familiar with going to a book sale where there's hundreds and hundreds of books. And it is time consuming, even though it's pretty fast using the Profit Bandit scanner. You have to wait for the picture to pop up, and you kind of have that delay. The scan fob, how that helps is you utilize it with your scanning app, and it's about every second you can scan a book, and it's super fast. It just pops up. So it's more of a time-saving tool. It's not a scanning app. It's different. It's just time-saving. And the only time I really use that is if I'm in a situation where I have to scan a lot of items as quickly as possible. That's the only time I use that.
Okay, cool. So it's just it helps you to it saves time. So I can see it particularly with library sales and things like that.
Right.
Time is of the essence.
Right, mainly books. Yeah, that's when I use that, is mainly book sales.
This is
library.
One of the things that I teach is, and it's one of the very first classes, is how to filter out all of the worthless trash that's out there that you don't want to scan anyway.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of that. Initially is just don't scan all of these things like fiction books. We completely eliminate all fiction books. There's so few that are worth anything.
Amen to that.
Yeah, and so we kind of use what I call the Bob scanner. The Bob is the big old brain. So people have to use their big old brains to scan out all of the junk.
Well, on some apps you can set parameters, so it'll vibrate or chime or indicate when it's met your parameters that you've set, so it saves you time. So like when I use the scan fob in my scanning app, I can, I actually, those exercise bands that you put your smartphone in and you're running or jogging?
Yep.
I put that on my forearm with my phone in it, so I don't have to hold on to my phone, and then I just have my scan fob like in the palm of my hand. It's so tiny. It's very tiny, and it's kind of hidden, so it doesn't look like I'm just, scanning away if I don't want it to look like I'm scanning away. And I can just sit there and scan very rapidly, and then my phone will let me know if I've hit a book or an item that is at the price point I want, if it's the rank that I want, whatever you have set up for your parameters, what you're looking for. It will just kind of notify you. And so that's where this comes in, is just saving you time.
Okay, next question, which I have lost here now. Here it is. Will this video replay be available, and how long? Yeah, it'll be available in your members area, and it will be there forever until the internet dies.
So hopefully I didn't say anything really stupid or sound stupid. That's what that means.
1,000 years from now, they'll be analyzing what you said. There was a fob? What's the fob?
The what?
Oh, let me ask you this, Tracy. This is not a question from the audience here, but do you ever get people, when you're out scanning stuff, like at a retail store, do you ever get people asking you what you're doing?
Not very often. It's funny because I make YouTube videos, so everybody assumes I'm like coming in with cameras blazing or something, and that's not the truth. Like, I'm incognito. I'm not like trying to be secretive or dishonest. But most of the time, people are texting on your phone all the time, or they're price comparison, using price comparison to try to find a better deal. So using your phone in the store or the garage sale or the book place, wherever, is pretty commonplace. So I don't really advertise what I'm doing. I have, though, been busted a couple of times where I was making a video and I set a couple items on the floor because I wanted to, show just those items. And people think I'm talking to myself. And they'll come around the corner and I'm like talking to my phone. And then I have a bunch of items on the floor and they're kind of looking at me. Or if I show up at the checkout and I have a cart full. These after Christmas sales, I mean it when I say I clear the shelves. I clear the shelves of if I find a good item, because a lot of the Christmas items, we're not talking, we're talking about maybe like $20 return that you're going to listed value. So I might have, 30 of them in a cart. And you learn what's good year after year, season after season, and you kind of start to look for those things. Like Kohl's, they have the same stockings every year. The same exact monogrammed, beautiful stockings. They're very well made. You know what? I actually took a picture of them to show you. Let me show you real quick if you guys have a minute. Some of the pictures that I took for knowing that I was going to talk to you today. And some of them I've showed you already, but some of them I didn't. That one I showed you. Here's some where I have. These are all things that I found at Walmart. Food, I wanted to let you know. You have to be careful of that. Glass. Gel cleans always sell well for me. Those are the screenshots. Command clips normally sell well for me. This was 75% off, so whatever you're seeing on there was lower. I wanted to get to the stockings. Okay, here's a screenshot. See this little icon there? Right. You probably know, but that shows you that there's some restriction on that, and you need to click on it and look. It might just be that it's a slow-moving product that gives you pause as to whether you want to buy it, or it might be like a, you can't sell it. Here's an example. It has sufficient inventory level, so it's just telling you it's slow-moving, and we'd rather you didn't.
Is it on Profit Bandit? I have not noticed that, actually.
It's on most apps. The one I used for this was the free Amazon seller app that you can download onto your phone, right, because it's free. Yep. And everybody should have access to this.
Yeah, I've taught about that one, so they should know how to use that.
I actually keep the free Amazon app. I keep the free eBay app. I keep Profit Bandit. Those three are on my phone.
Those are the ones I use. Those are the ones I like. I actually use the free Amazon app today because it does a really good job of scanning the cover if the book doesn't have an ISBN barcode on it. So if it doesn't have one, I'll use that free app first to scan the cover because it looks it up that way.
Yeah, and that free app will tell you about restrictions. These are pet products. Pet products sell well, just, so you know. This was that bear I told you about, that there was some kind of warning on that. So when I scanned it, I see this little symbol right here, and I know, hey, wait a minute, I need to check this out. And you just click on it, and it tells you exactly why it's, an issue. So, of course, when I see this, I put it down. I don't buy it. So it helps protect you from making bad decisions. And, it's free, but it was a very good price. I had it in my hand. These are the pet stocking I did. This is selling right now on Amazon for $16.82. You could buy it for $1.50 at Walmart right now, or at least my Walmart. So, it shows you the profit. And people go, oh, well, that's only, you're only making $14. But I was in that Walmart for 20 minutes, and I could have walked out with hundreds of dollars of, profitable merchandise. So how much am I making, per hour if I list all of that and make it? The same with this. If it's not restricted, because it was in kitchen, it wasn't in grocery. So this, name brands sell really well. And this Wilton set, they had not only like sprinkles, but they also had Wilton spring foam pans and different things. Well, that's a product that people buy year-round for baking. It's very popular. And so you can see the price here. I also could have purchased that for I don't remember, but it was very low. You know, it was like $1 or $2. There's only one FBA seller. Oh, here you go. See how this price is different? A lot of times you'll see, what does it show? I'm sorry. You can click on these and see merchant fulfilled versus FBA, and you'll see a price discrepancy, which kind of proves what James and I was telling you about being able to price your items a lot higher. That's that name brand I was trying to show you there.
Wilton stuff sells really well. I sold a lot of Wilton stuff.
And you'll see this at all the craft stores, like Joann's or Michael's. This is Walmart, of course. But these are steeply discounted items. Now, this has a holiday theme, so that's going to be a holiday item. But, you know, sometimes, well, that's holiday too. But if you saw the other picture was like red sprinkles, okay, well, now we're talking about Valentine's cookies, right? Because it's red. And you can buy pink. They had all the colors. Oh, yeah. So I don't have to wait 8 months to sell this Wilton, because Wilton sells year-round. So I can just be mindful of my purchases and purchase things that I can sell year-round. This was a cutter that was on sale there. These are non-holiday items that you always find in the holiday section that you can sell year-round. Wilton cookie cutters. Look at the price for that. You know, this kit was $4, and it's a $35 listed value, and there was only one FBA seller. So that means I'm next in line when I list my cookie cutter set, and that's a good profit margin for me. And it's a popular name brand. So these are all things that you consider when looking at this.
I bet everyone now is anxious to get out there and start looking for these things. I know I am. I'm itching now.
I hope so. So now's a good time to do that.
Let me cover these last few questions here, Patty. This is a really good question from Patty. We've covered this before, but I want to get your second opinion on this. Question is, do you have two separate Amazon seller accounts now that you are doing private labels, so you can separate it from your retail arbitrage Amazon account?
No, I have one account
Thank you.
that acts as an umbrella for numerous different brands. You can have several brand names under it.
Let me just say this again, because it always comes up. Don't ever open a second account.
They don't want you to. You can get in trouble and get
suspended. You will get suspended for that, and they will catch you. And they
not worth it.
And here's the thing: you can open a second account if you let Amazon know and they approve you and they tell you that you can. But then you've got to get a separate bank account. You'll need a separate, of course, email address, and you'll need a separate something else. And I forgot what it is. Anyway.
Okay, an example of this is I have an Amazon account with a certain name. We'll just say it's Tracy's Great Finds or whatever. You have a name, and then you can just sell anything under that. But for my private label, say it's sports, I can have a separate website for that sports name. I can have that brand under my Amazon account. So when you click on that name, it will show you that brand of stuff. Say it's Tracy's Sports Emporium. So I can have Tracy's Greatest Finds. I can have Tracy's Sports Emporium. I can have anything I want under that main heading. So there's really no reason to have numerous accounts. It gets very confusing. It's an accounting nightmare. Like Jane said, you have to have all these different, checking accounts, and so you don't need to go there with that.
And what I suggest you do is, for your store name, just come up with something generic. Like Tracy just said, you called it, Tracy's Finds or something like that? Tracy's Deals, Tracy's Deals. And, I say, use your, whatever region you're in. You could call your store North Carolina's Best or Quality North Carolina Goods, something like that. What I suggest you don't do is don't call your store something like Discount Books or Best Books. So don't pigeonhole yourself into one particular category. Make it generic enough to where exactly. Yeah. Then if you're selling something other than coffee mugs, then it might look a little weird. it really still wouldn't make any difference, but yeah.
Yeah. On the screen right now, these Hallmark ornaments, which I found at both Kohl's and Walmart right now, 2 days ago. So you might be able to run out and find these right now. But Hallmark sells exceptionally well because there are people, anything that's collectible, like that's not restricted. So anything collectible, like coffee mugs, like we talked about, Star Wars, those little shot glasses from every state and every country, things that people will pay to add to their collection. Hallmark ornaments are the same way. People collect these and make entire trees or year-round trees. They'll keep them up in their house year-round, or they have to buy the newest 2016 one. They sell really well. And this one, what I could have purchased for cents, and you see I could have sold it for $20.89. So that's the listed value after fees. This one does not include shipping. I think I told you that, but I want to say it again. No other FBA sellers. So Hallmark is awesome. So you should be looking for those right now. These are some of the other Hallmark ones. I mean, I just wanted to show you, they're all kind of a different price point. This Superman was only $10.22, but there were like 10 at this one store, and they sell well. There's all of them right there.
Okay, and we have just a follow-up question on the brand names thing. I cannot pronounce this name. I'm going to give it my best shot. Marwika maybe. All right. So sorry if I completely mispronounce your name. But where can I set up the different brand names in Amazon? Okay. So the brand names are something you set up if you got your own product, like a private label product. You can have a brand name for whatever products you're selling, and you can have multiple brand names. So every single product you set up can have a different brand name. But if you're selling books or retail arbitrage, then you're a third-party seller. And I don't think you can have a brand name because the product already has the brand name on it.
Right. Right, but you could bundle to create a listing. Like if you wanted to create a unique listing with products that already exist, you can bundle them.
We need to have you back on. We need to have you back on to do a class on bundling because that's something I don't cover either.
Bundling is good because you can create a unique listing so you don't have any competition. Also, it's a great way to move inventory so you're not taking a loss. If you have something that's not really selling well, you can bundle it with other items. Like a book, Dr. Seuss book, because you guys are covering books. I will find stuffed animals that match the books. Or maybe just have a teddy bear in a children's book and you bundle it as a nighttime set. Or something like that, and it can help move moving inventory, or instead of taking a loss on the product, you just market it in a different way, and you can sell it.
Great. Does ScanFob save the items into a list for further review?
ScanFob works with your existing scanning app. So what you would want to do, because I know everybody's using different scanning apps, you would want to check with, if you're using Profit Bandit, you would want to check with Profit Bandit and see if it is compatible with the ScanFob. And what happens is when you scan, your scanning app will say that if that's a feature that your scanning app holds. For example, Scan Power absolutely does. I can scan everything in the store and then not have to re-enter it in once I get home. I can just click a button that says, add to my inventory, and it will add all of those items to my inventory. Profit Bandit is great, and the reason I like Profit Bandit is because a lot of times it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the other ones do, but you're not paying this crazy amount of monthly fees. Like Scan Power is like $60 a month. Last time I checked, I don't even know what it is right now. But you have to pay, and it doesn't offset. The couple of perks that one app might have over Profit Bandit, to me anyway, it doesn't pay for itself. So I like Profit Bandit. It's better than the free apps, but it's not crazy expensive. It does what I need it to do, even at this level, where I sell thousands of products. So I'm real happy with Profit Bandit. The only reason I moved to Inventory Lab was because it was more inclusive with, monitoring the inventory and the scanning and the bookkeeping, kind of everything together. But I'm paying for that too. The other side of that, right. It's not inexpensive like Profit Bandit. So I always, I actually have a scanning out YouTube video where, I tell everybody Profit Bandit. That's what I pretty much tell everybody to go to.
Okay, and last question here from Paul. This is more just an opinion, I think, though. Tracy, since you mentioned you travel a lot, I am curious to how, if you cover your travel expenses with all the points and miles you earn from your sourcing purchases, or are you the type that prioritizes cash back credit cards over miles and points? So basically, what kind of credit cards are you using when you purchase the items? Are you getting cash back or points, or what do you do? I
do the points. Actually, I think that's a great question, because he's thinking like I am. I love to travel, but that's a personal preference. That's something that's really important to me. That's actually the reason why I'm in this business, is because I wanted a business that I could do from my computer anywhere in the world, and honestly, there's not a lot. So this is a really good business model for flexibility and freedom like that, and that's the reason I do it. And so I literally can work anywhere from my backpack, and that's the whole point. So for me, I have a Chase Sapphire business card that I use for all of my purchases for business related, and I do get travel points for that. And I do, anytime I travel, whether it's really a vacation or not, I'm always sourcing. You're always on in this business. I think it's fun. I love what I do. So when I'm in Indiana visiting my mom, we're going garage selling. We're going to the thrift store because I think it's fun. I would do that anyway. So when I'm at the grocery store, you just notice it, and you're just out and about. Anytime I'm running errands, I will pop into the store, maybe next door to where I am, because it's a retail store. And I'll just pop in and see if there's anything good, because we're always on, because it's what we do, but we love what we do. So anytime I take a trip, it's a business expense because I'm always sourcing. So I have yet to technically take a trip that was pleasure, even though it was. You know what I mean?
And that means it's all tax deductible too. But
exactly. And save your receipts. You save your gas.
Check with your accountant.
Check with your accountant. We are not accountants.
Yep. Okay, so Tracy, thanks a lot for coming on. One last thing. People are asking for your YouTube channel, so let me just put it in the chat here, and if you have it handy, you can do that.
Yeah, I will. I have it up
or anything else that you want to give people. Yes, I mean, just anything.
Well, everything is kind of linked. So if you are here, this is my YouTube channel, and you can just go on here.
Can you copy that link and put it into the chat? Do you see the chat?
But if you search, if you go into YouTube and you search for Entrepreneur Girl, I'm going to come up. And I know entrepreneur, I should have picked an easier word, right? Because it's hard to spell. But Entrepreneur Girl, anytime you click on that, you're going to find me. I'm right there. And then I also have entrepreneurgirl.net, which will lead you right to my YouTube channel. You can just click on the button, and all the social media right here. Yes. And you can see my family and check out my story, because it's kind of a story about health issues and homeschooling and how I got to be an entrepreneur utilizing Amazon FBA. There's the band right there.
Wow, beautiful family.
Thank you. So you can check all this out if you want.
Which fob did you say that you use?
Right here, ScanFob 2006, and this is where I bought it from. This here, I'm going to pronounce that wrong. This right here is where this .com.
Cerealio.
Cereal.
No, Cerealo. I-O. Okay.
Okay, so here they are. And I've got this is the one I got. I guess it's the same one now. You would think that would have changed, but I'm sure they're upgraded.
All right. Anything in conclusion, Tracy?
Just thank you for having me, and I hope you will give this a try for 1 year. And I really mean it when I say get a calendar from Target and mark your calendar, because if you look at it end of year in reflection, looking back, the spikes that you get from this in sales on average is significant. And so I would like for you to give it a try. And for 1 year, using all the different calendar holidays, seasons, and like seasonal sports and activities, and see what you think at the end of the year. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you try this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I encourage everybody to go out there this weekend and find some stuff. You know, if you're not sure yourself, just get 1 or 2 little things and put them on Amazon and try them out. You'll be hooked.
Yeah,
I mean, as soon as you start selling,
wrong.
Yep.
90% off, you really can't go wrong, because what is the risk in that? You're gonna list it, even if you have to list it for significantly under retail value, you're still going to be making a profit. So if you just stick to 90% off sales, really there's very little risk in trying this method out.
Absolutely. All right, Tracy, thanks again. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you staying over late answering questions. Been a lot of fun, and I'll get the replay out for this by tomorrow.
Okay, good luck, everybody.
All right, have a great weekend, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye, Trace. Thanks.
Thank you.